I'm going to do a bit of work on collisions in Unity. I've got a demo set up here with a car and something which I can drive into. I can do a collision with, so I drive forward, I hit it. I guess that's a collision, but it's not very useful at the moment because I'm not actually doing anything about it. So the idea of the collisions is we're going to detect it in code and then do something with that detection. So what I'm going to do, both the car and the cube will detect that there has been a collision. I'm just going to add a script on the cube for now, and I'll probably add one to the car later as well, just to kind of do something slightly different there. So I'm going to create a script and I'm going to do my best to open it in Visual Studio, if Visual Studio will play nicely. Visual Studio sometimes decides that it's not going to open things nicely. Is it even doing anything now? Doesn't give you any feedback. Is it even doing it? Let's try again. Yeah. It did not detect that double click, but I think we're getting there now. Time for a couple of annoying error messages maybe. Always time for a couple of annoying error messages in Visual Studio. And we're there. So this is your standard script, so it's got a start and an update behavior. We're not actually going to need those right now for this particular activity, so I'm going to get rid of those and I'm going to add in a collision event on collision enter. It's going to be what I'm going to use, and it's auto completed everything for me. And this is where I can write some code that will happen when I do a collision. I like to check that my collisions are working before I actually do anything, so because it's actually surprisingly hard to get, there's all kinds of reasons why collisions don't actually get properly detected. So I normally do this, I say put a message into the console that tells me that I've just had a hit, and then I'll save that and I'll go back to my game and I'll test that before I do anything else. Ready? We're waiting. Are we going? Here we go. Right. So drive forward. Oh, I need the console open, don't I? I hit it. Okay. And if I drive backwards, and then drive forwards again, I get another hit. So every time I hit that, I'm getting a hit event. Now, I can do other things, I guess. Let's just kind of talk about the things that I might do. I'm going to leave that debug.log. It's not doing us any harm. I guess my game is going to be that I'm going to run around hitting targets and like a collectibles kind of thing. So as I hit each one, I'm going to destroy it. That should do. And hit play. And may or may not decide to actually work. Here we go. So drive forward, I hit it. It did destroy it. You'll notice that I stopped abruptly and then it destroyed it. That's kind of annoying. A little bit of a workaround for that. I'm sure there'd be other ways to do this, but one of the workarounds that I've added here is to add a rigid body to the target. So it's actually going to be land on the ground, and what we'll see is something slightly interesting. Notice it said hit from target and disappeared. That is because it did just hit something. I did a rigid body, it hit the ground. So we're going to go into the whole tagging system right now, and we're going to do stuff with that. Now, everything has the option of having a tag added to it. Because the car is like our main player, it defaults to be having this tag player. That's great, we're going to leave that. The cube is untagged. I'm going to give it a tag just to show how that works. I'm going to add tag. There's no tag there. I'm going to add, well, the default tags of player and all and so on. But I'm going to add a tag called target. Save that. And then, strangely enough, the cube has not been given that tag. It still says untagged, but that target is now in the list now. So I can check that. So we're going to do that in the code. So we've got this debug.log which says hit from target. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to say if, and then see this private void on collision enter, it gives us a collision object which has got a bunch of things attached to it, including what the object was that hit us. So if I say collision.GameObject, so that's the thing that we hit, and say .tag, I'm going to say if it equals player, and then in curly brackets I can say what I want to happen if we've hit the player, and that's the only time we want to destroy the game object. So when it hits the ground, there we go, get rid of that. When it hits the ground, it will not destroy the game object because this won't be evaluated as true. So if I go back into Unity, hit play, and waiting, see it's still there, but then I hit it and it's gone, and I had the hit from, so I had two hit from targets. So that was the one where it hit the ground, and that's the one where it hit the car. Yeah. Now, just to kind of also go a little bit further than that, I'm going to do a separate collision for the car, just to kind of show you how that works. Because the thing about it is, this script that runs with the target, as soon as the target destroys itself, we're not going to get any more out of that. So I'm going to add a new script to the car, which is going to be collision, oh, I'm going to call it car collision, and open that from my assets, wakey, car collision. Yeah, it was time for a couple more error messages, wasn't it? Pretty sure I already said this. So where are we? Yeah, sure, whatever. So this is car collision, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I don't need the start and the update, but I do need the void on collision enter. Where's collision enter? Collision, did I miss it? It's auto completed for me. I'm not even paying attention, am I? Escape. Right. So void on collision enter. That's better. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say if collision dot game object, so the thing that we hit, dot tag equals, you have to say, is it really equals? Doing a single equals assigns a value, doing double equals checks whether they're the same thing or not. Equals, what's it going to be? Target. And what I'm going to do inside my curly brackets is I'm going to add one to a hit counter. So I'm going to have a public int hits, which is going to start with an initial value of 0. So that's going to be just a variable like in construct 2, and I can say hits add 1 to the value of it. Hits plus equals 1 means add 1 to the value of hits. You know what I forgot to do as well? I forgot to put a debug.log and check that. And we'll put it in here anyway. Debug.log car hit. Just to say it was the car that hit something, it wasn't the target that hit something. Right, let's try that. Save and run. Now we're going to need the console open so we can actually see what's going on. And we also want to see the car. Down here now it's got a car collision script, and that's that hits counter. So in theory I'm going to, oops, wait, car hits counter, click on here, drive forward, and the hits counter went up by 1. And if I put a bunch more targets into the scene, so Control C, Control V, Control V, just move them around a little bit, and have a game. What happened to that other one? Alright, I'll just leave this one here, shall I? So I drive forward, I hit that one, my car hits is up by 1, and then if I drive forward and hit this one, it's gone up to 2. And there's a game in that. somewhere along the line, obviously you need to do something with the script. You need to say, you know, if hits equals 10, then you've completed that level. I don't know, whatever, a game. Enjoy.